Once the meeting with their client had concluded, the group were able to extract without any issue, claiming the rest of the food and stuffing their bags as much as they could, before Scifi quickly wiped the local cameras of their presence. While the group was open to jumping the wall, Allura overruled them, not wanting to attract any kind of attention when they didn't need to. Nobody spoke as they passed through and out of Corvin Enterprises territory, only speaking of the job the moment they got home, and slumped down on the sofa with warm cups of calming tea. "Alright, so what the hell is Scrip exactly?" Jack asked as they all settled down. Now that the meet was over, and they were away, Jack was a lot calmer, and as he took another sip of the delicious wine with some of the delectable slices of fruit they had taken back with them, he was now wondering why he had even been so worked up in the first place. Scrip is a type of exclusive currency issued by a megacorp or other similarly powerful organization that will only be accepted as payment by them, Gio told him. In this case, Corvin Enterprises. "So the dude literally just gave us fucking coupons?" Jack asked, amused, looking at the strange green bands that Johnson had given them as they would advance. "It will suit our purposes for getting some gear," Allura pointed out, "and using it will give us a discount on their products. Say what you will about them, but Corvin is one of the more diverse megacorps we have. We can get some shopping done before we go." "Our next move is planning," Nika announced, "as well as finding out what we know about Mr. Johnson. How much do you want to bet she isn't actually his mother?" "What do you mean?" Jack asked, slightly confused. "It doesn't always happen, but sometimes the client's actual objective isn't the one they hire for," Scifi told him, as she lay down on the sofa, throwing bits of fruit into the air before trying to catch them in her mouth. "Basically, Shadowrunning 101. I reckon the guy cares much more about the pendant than the mother." "But what would be the point of not just outright telling us to get it?" Jack countered thoughtfully. "He's offered a 2-for-1 trade in it, unless you think that's a bad deal." "It is a good deal," Chio confirmed. "A very good one that we would go for if the opportunity presents itself. He did really seem to want it." "I didn't get that impression speaking to him," Allura shrugged, sipping her wine thoughtfully. "My impressions haven't always been correct, but they're the same species and look similar enough. To be honest, even if he just wants the pendant and spun us a story, that's not our problem," Nika pointed out. "A job's a job, and this one's gonna pay well. Scifi, you cracked his stuff yet?" "Probably," Scifi shrugged, not getting up, and throwing another bit of fruit into the air. Cloning his comlink and quickly isolating any outgoing signals was the hardest part, and I won't be able to access everything, but I've had a brute force program going ever since we were in the clear. The scritter threw another piece up into the air, and barely had time to register it briefly hovering in the air, before Chio pinged it against her forehead. "Damn it, Chio!" "Let's see the information you have on the client first," the Elithian insisted. "We need some kind of insurance against him if he tries to betray us." "Fine." Scifi grunted before she shifted around into a seated position and began typing away. "Let me check out what I have and I'll project it on the table." "Also, Chio, you said during the meet this guy was magically active. Did you get anything from that?" Jack asked, though admittedly he was completely out of his depth with the arcane. "His aura was calm throughout, though he can likely mask it. I mean, he was talking about the death of his mother, and from what I saw it was like he was just talking about the weather. I did examine him thoroughly, though, and his astral signature shows signs of nature magic of some kind." "He didn't come across to me as your average wage mage," Nika pointed out. "If he's not outright one of Corvin's mysterious executives, he's probably close to it." "Okay, I've got some stuff here," Scifi told them, pointing to a fresh projection on the table. "All I've got are a few recent messages that were received while I was cloning the comlink. Even though the rest of it is so heavily encrypted and I don't want to touch it, it's definitely a burner." "Well done, Scifi. I'm sure you did what you could," Allura nodded. "Though the client wasn't foolish enough to take his actual comlink, I assume he needed to remain in contact with certain people and set up a forwarding system?" "Now let's see what we've got and we can work from there," Jack added, grinning as he patted Dante, who was watching with keen interest. "Look at the name of the sender here." Chio pointed at one of the messages. "The way the client is respectful and deferential to this Lux individual indicates that they're probably his boss. I'll run that name, see if anything comes up, Scifi nodded, quickly typing away on her comlink. What about this? Jack asked, pointing at the content of the message. The word sojourn is capitalized for me. Like it's the name of something? Oh, yeah, Nika noted, seeing where Jack was pointing. Name of what, though? Probably the name of a project they're working on or something, Allura reasoned. But it's difficult to tell from the context. Something about projects outside of the city. Hopefully it gives us enough to find our insurance, Chio agreed. But more importantly, we need to plan the trip. The client said he sought out transportation, right? Yeah, Jack nodded. But that's a hell of a lot of trust we're putting in this guy. How does he want us to get there? Looks like it's a 2-stage journey, but not as bad as you think, Nika pointed out, reading through the files the client gave them. For the first stage, the client gave us an open express ticket for a Corvin shuttle to get to a border town that's the closest point of civilization before you hit the frontier. Right. Jack raised his eyebrows, not convinced that this was somehow good. Where do we need to go, and what's the departure time? There isn't a departure time. We can go when we want, Scifi grinned. Basically, if we go to any shuttleport Corvin Enterprises operate from and show the ticket, they'll then put us on the first convenient shuttle out, no questions asked, though it may mean we end up in a cramped cargo bay. If it's an open ticket, can people still use it to track us? Jack asked, still concerned about the potential problems. He hated to be that guy, but he knew it was important to ask the unpopular questions. No, I don't think it's likely, Chio confirmed. Of what is known in their company culture, many are in circulation within Corvin Enterprises, and they're used by either powerful figures or their agents. So the run-of-the-mill employees don't ask questions? Jack nodded in understanding. From what I can tell, our ones don't have any unique markings either, Scifi noted, so we should be alright as long as we don't hang around. We'll need to work out where we want to travel from too, and how long the journeys are going to take, Nika added with a sigh. No worries. I'll run a filter overnight and we can pick the one we like the most, Scifi shrugged. But that won't be the only legwork we have to do. We have some time before we want to leave on Frost Day at least. Jack nodded with the others, knowing that Frost Day was the local equivalent of Friday here. Don't forget that we intend to pick up the armor Clan Barzan promised for us, Allura reminded them. And with luck, we can sleep on the first leg of the journey, since I'm more worried about the second part. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this Cypherport place, Nika stated, checking the files. Other than it's the last frontier town before you hit leagues of mostly untamed wilderness. Once we get there, we're to secure passage down the river towards a very remote outpost that Corvin Enterprises has some influence over. I don't know if it'll be the best course for us, but the client has indicated that there's a tribe of river giants there who Corvin Enterprises have a working relationship with, that we can talk to about securing passage for the second stage of our journey. River giants? Jack asked in surprise. I must admit, this species is unfamiliar to me, Chio added thoughtfully. Though I am familiar with other species of giants. What do you know of them, Nika? Anyone else? I don't know much, but I once stowed away on a river giant ship to get here, the Kizan admitted. They seem to be traders of sorts, and they never caught me. They were pale green-skinned, and I say they're about double Jack's size on average. I know just as much as you, Allura added, with Scifi nodding to indicate the same. We'll need to do some research if we can. Maybe if they have certain customs, we can ensure their cooperation, if we make sure to adhere to them. Something else to add to the list of things to check, Scifi shrugged. If they have a working relationship with Corvin Enterprises, they should accept our coin at least. Then we have the third stage of the journey, Jack added, wanting to contribute. A remote outpost along the river to the target area. What kind of terrain are we dealing with? We don't know for sure, Allura admitted, so we'll need to see if we can find maps of the area, as well as any records from travellers. If it can be accessed by river, it shouldn't be anything too extreme, Nika pointed out, especially if Corvin Enterprises have some kind of minor outpost there. Wonder what they use it for. Perhaps there's remote communities out there that trade with them, Chio mused, or maybe it's a staging area for something. If it's a quiet outpost, are we going to have problems getting ourselves a return trip? Jack asked, taking a swig of his tea as he got more confident in asking these kinds of questions. Depends how long it takes to get back, Scifi said. Surely if it were a busy route, then they'd want to make it a quick stop, but if there's nowhere else to safely rest, I imagine a boat crew will want to take a day or two to rest and exchange cargo. We could always ask and bribe them to stick around for a bit. That means we'll need to set a cut-off point for when we head back, Allura clarified. Though we won't know how long we have until we get there. What do we know about the place we need to head to? It's been described as a shrine of Ilfil, Chia reported. Though what such a place dedicated to the nurturing mother is doing in such a remote location is beyond me. You would think a goddess of the hearth that's a protector of children would be closer to where the actual children are located. Maybe it's a historical holy site, Jack suggested. Plenty of those exist on Earth. Had a bunch of wars happen over them too. Doesn't matter, Nika pointed out. The kids aren't clapping once to get everyone's attention. Right now we have legwork to do. We need departure locations and your best estimates for travel times, so we know how long we have and plan when we rest. I can check departure locations, and we can pick the one we like most, Scifi told the others before grinning. Does the express ticket we have give us an all-you-can-drink at a first-class bar? You're not drinking on the job, Allura warned the Skritter sternly, and I'd rather get to this Scifi place without attracting any attention. If we get some hidden space in the cargo hold, we can try and catch some sleep there. Maybe get some homework done too while we're at it, Jack grinned. Damn it, don't remind me, Scifi groaned. We better not have anything bad. I believe the teachers are going easy on us after the last 2 weeks of double school, Gio speculated. However, I would recommend we complete everything we can before Frost Day. Agreed, Allura nodded, though I'm sure we can clear it up during the day and before we get ready on Frost Day. I'd rather not be distracted during the run or carry more things than we need to. That brings up a good point, Nika interjected. We need a list of things we're taking with us, and from there work out a shopping trip. And keep it light with enough space to take stuff back with us, I'm guessing, Jack added. Yep. Told you were a born Shadowrunner, Scifi grinned. Though I think we need to know more about where we're going so we know what we'll need. Doubt there'll be any need to take my cyber gear to the middle of nowhere. In that case, tomorrow after school I shall go to the Great Library and find out what I can about the local area, Chia reasoned. Jack, perhaps you can come with me and help. Sure, Jack agreed. Unless you guys think I might be better suited with helping with the shopping. If we get some of those really lightweight sleeping bags, then maybe we can swap out the bedrolls for hammocks or something. Hammocks? Allura asked thoughtfully. Yeah, like a lightweight sturdy bit of cloth with hooks that hang off the ground that you can sleep in, Jack added in. I know what a hammock is, Allura laughed, but that's a really good idea if there's going to be places to hook them up. Could the fabricator spit a few out? Nika asked, causing everyone to think hard on that one. Hesia thinks she can use it for curtains, Chia reasoned. I suppose we would need to see if it can be done first, otherwise we should just stick to our bedrolls. I'll ask her tomorrow, Allura told them, and a hammock would be much easier to pack into a bag at least. Just stuff the thing. Might be easily replaceable too, Nika added, depending on what we need. About time we used the fabricator for other things instead of solar panels, Scifi grinned. Like fixing up the shuttle, Jack agreed. Right now it's just sitting there like a piece of modern art. Yeah, hopefully we can fix it up after the run, Nika nodded. I guess while you guys are all doing your thing, I'll make sure we've got our MREs sorted for the trip, since I'd rather not eat stuff in the field if we can help it. That's the shopping list sorted for now, Chio nodded thoughtfully, wanting to bring something up. But what do we think about what actually could have happened? The client lost contact with their mother and now assumes that they're dead for a reason, after all. It could be an offshoot of clowns, Nika shrugged. I know a bunch of groups are tracking the path of what they think is the main group, but there are always offshoots that branch off and cause chaos by design, usually clownifying any species they find on the way to replenish their numbers. But Corvin Enterprises has a special hatred of the clowns, Scifi pointed out. Surely they'd know if it was them, if they have the closest outpost to that area. The problem is that the shrine we're heading to is so remote it could be anything, Allura told them. So that's what we need to be ready for. So load up to the teeth, Nika nodded. Sounds good, Allura nodded. In that case, let's all get some rest and sleep well. We'll have the others doing guard duty for now, so tomorrow we can come back after we've done our tasks. and work out where to go from there. Sounds like a plan, Jack nodded with a slight smile, as everyone got up to go to bed. He was glad that their group was taking the appropriate steps to prepare. He was almost starting to look forward to this. "We've got our next game coming up in 2 weeks," Val told Jack with a grin, plonking his lunch tray down beside him. "The school's reconfirmed the schedule. Don't know who we're facing yet, though." "About damn time," Nika grinned, as Tshirt rolled her eyes and turned away from the conversation. "We've got to get our reserves up to scratch." "Hey, they'll be totally fine," Critch spoke up a little too quickly. "Hey, they'll be totally fine," Critch spoke up a little too quickly. "You sure you're not just looking at things through rose-tinted glasses?" Jack teased with a grin. "Yeah, I didn't get a chance to say it on the day, but you're an asshole for doing that, Jack." Critch pointed at the human, shaking his head. "You could have at least warned me before you randomly chucked me onto Rel's float." The entire table erupted in laughter at that one, with Pluderoo thumping the table several times. "Hey, it worked out well in the end," Jack defended himself with a grin, with Critch nodding in agreement. "That's true," the lister grinned back. "I'll remember that next time your favourite dragon comes by." That set the table off again, and this time it was Jack who was red in the face. The fact that Critch was planning some kind of payback did not bode well. "Alright, we're changing the subject," Val told them all. "Team practice every day starting this week. Train yourselves up in the meanwhile." "Every day?" Scifi asked incredulously. "Really, Val?" "Why not?" the Eladra smirked. "We can get a winning streak going, and I want to make sure we all work well as a team. Last game, our coordination could have been a lot better." "Speaking of," Jack spoke up, "how are Kizarif and Arlox doing?"
"Better," Pluderoo told them. "Kizarif is mostly awake and in good spirits, and he'll be fit enough to come back to school soon, but he won't be able to play deathball for a while. He's still thinking about his options for his missing parts."
"He hasn't got long to think about it," Nika warned. "There's a window of opportunity. I think he should see if they can be cloned and grafted." "I can't imagine making a big decision like that easily," Jack pointed out. "How long does he have?" "Still a couple of weeks, I reckon," Carson added, from where she and her sister placed their trays down and added to the row. "Still, maybe some time being up and about'll help." "Arlox has some time to go, I think," Bentham added. "Dream therapy helped correct the course, but he's still adjusting. I tried to talk to him via the drone link, and it's like he wasn't completely there."
"His wounds aren't physical," Val sighed. "This is the healing of the soul. It's not a perfect science, but once he's with us, I'm sure he'll get better quickly. It's just the initial readjustment that can take some time. That needs to be done as flawlessly as possible."
"And how's Krill handling it?" Jack asked, looking around for their squarry friend and not seeing him. "Have you guys seen him outside class lately?" "He's devastated," Critch sighed. "Blames himself for not being with Arlox when the attack happened. Spends as much time as he can with him." "He couldn't have known what would happen. Surely he knows this," Alora spoke up, having overheard the conversation. "I hope he holds no ill will towards me." The Eladri sighed. "I was the reason they split up while they were helping me." "I don't think he blames anyone but himself," Jack spoke up again. "Though I wouldn't know how we snap him out of it apart from not leaving him alone for too long to wallow in his depression."
"I think we've all been doing our part," Val sighed. "He probably just needs more of a distraction to shake him out of whatever's going on with him right now. He told me he'll be fine for games, but I'll make the call to switch him out if he isn't. I'm hoping the deathball practice will keep him focused on something else. I'm thinking we can head to the Cathedral of Merriment the weekend of the next game. Arlox should be able to join us by then."
"Sounds like a plan," Nika nodded. "And since you want to wear us out before our next game's on, what do you want us to try and work on in the meantime, oh Captain?"
"Ha!" Val grinned. "As a team, we need to work on our tactics. Luvian Essex was able to bottleneck us and trap Jack during our last game, so that's something we need to work on. Scifi, since you're a charger now, we need you to train up for that. And our 2 new members need to be brought up to scratch. Jack, you need to learn more about playing the game, so if you can watch a few on TV or something, that'd be awesome.
Well, that doesn't seem so bad. Jack shrugged with a smirk. Though I don't exactly have Pirate Bay or whatever over here. I'll hook you up with a few videos to watch, Scifi told him. Bunch of classics you need to see. Alright, I'll watch what I can, Jack agreed. But I'm kind of tied down tonight.